Hi, I'm Sharmila. Welcome to episode 1 of What Moved the Markets, where we decode the news and what it means for you. For 3 months, a war far away was quietly deciding the price of your petrol, your groceries, and your savings. In June, that started to change. Let's begin with one simple idea. News on its own doesn't move markets. What matters is understanding what it could mean for businesses and the economy. Keep that in mind and the market moves start to make sense. Let's start with oil. After the conflict shut the Strait of Hormuz in late February, the channel that carries about a fifth of the world's seaborne oil, Brent crude, from about $72 a barrel to well above $110. This month, a US-Iran interim deal to reopen the strait brought back towards 80. Now, why does an oil price move our markets so much? Follow the chain. India buys almost all of its oil from outside. Costlier oil means a bigger bill, a weaker rupee, and pricier everything because fuel makes goods cost more to make and move. That's how a faraway war reached your wallet. You could even see it in fuel-heavy businesses. Paints, tires, airlines, they fell when oil rose and bounced back when it dropped. That oil spike pushed retail inflation to 3.93% in May, up from 3.48% in April. So in early June, RBI held the repo rate, the rate at which it lends to banks, at 5.25% for a third time. Here's the interesting part. Even when nothing changes, the market still reacts. Many had hope for a rate cut. Without one, sectors that run on cheap loans, banks, real estate, automobiles, missed an expected boost. So even a no-change call can move the market. The rupee stayed weak, near record lows, because the US dollar got stronger. Gold prices also eased, which slipped about 22% from the high after a big run earlier this year. A weak rupee cut both ways. It makes imports costlier, but it helps companies that earn in dollars, like our software and medicine firms. When the US dollar strengthens, US assets start to look more attractive. So some foreign investors move money out of markets like India and into dollar-based investments. And gold's recent price movement is a reminder that every asset class tends to see ups and downs over time. Our market traded below its earlier peaks, with the Nifty at around 24,000 and the Sensex near 76,800, both still below their record high. The big jolt was tech. After one large global tech company cut its growth forecast, India's tech shares dropped about 6% in a single day. Why so sharp from one comment? Because a share price is really a bet on future profits. That warning lowered what people expect our software firms to earn. So prices fell at once. But here's the part that matters most for you. Foreign investors sold heavily all year, yet domestic investors through regular SIPs kept investing and helped support the market. That's why our market held steadier than the headlines made it look. Two quick ones. The monsoon may be weaker than usual, that can push up food prices and slow down rural spending. And the India-US trade deal is almost done with lower tariffs. Good news for our exporters. Keep an eye on both. Now, step back. Through a war, an oil shock, and a weak rupee, India still grew 7.7% last year, the fastest among the world's big economies. So what's your job in a noisy month like this? Simple. Don't chase headlines and make sure your money is spread across a few baskets. Some for growth, some for safety, some for balance, a mix that matches your goals and your comfort with risk. There are fund types built for each of these. Debt schemes for potential steadiness and multi-asset schemes which can spread your money across several asset classes in a single scheme. That's what moved the markets and how it moved your money. We'll be back with the next update. Until then, keep learning and stay focused on your long-term goals.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.